Hi friends, in this tutorial I am going to create the low polygon in Blender. You can observe this is the interface of the Blender. First I want to hide the camera and light option by pressing on the shift key and give the hide option here to hide this, and then after adjust the cube by selecting the cube here. After selecting the cube by pressing on the G key and Z key to adjust by using the control for to position onto the cursor. See the cursor on the bottom, the cube is on the top. You can see like this, you can adjust onto the exact onto the plane. Then after I am selecting the cube here, and by pressing on the N key you can observe the transformation features. In the transformation features I am going to give the 5 meter on the x-axis. On the y-axis I want to give the 3 meter, and I want to give the Z to 1 meter like this. Then one of the rectangular cube is created. Then after we are in the object mode. Then after I want to go to the edit mode here, select the vertices and use the Ctrl R. By pressing on the Ctrl R key, one of the loop is created. By clicking on the escape and the left key, it is the loop is created, you can observe. Then after I am selecting on the edit mode and select the edge and select all of the edges by selecting by using the shift key on the loop. Then after by pressing on the Ctrl B bevel to increase this size. Then after I want to create the face by selecting on object mode, you can see, and go into the edit mode again and select the face and extrude the face to some of the distance. After extruding the face, I want to scale this somewhat to create the different model on the top like this. You can decrease or increase by using the scale. After by pressing on the S, I want to create one of the loop here by pressing on the Ctrl R and create the loop, escape, clicking on the left key, one of the loop is created. Then after go into the Z key and go into the wireframe. I want to remove this another view by using the mirror modifier. I will create this, delete this off part and keep it as one of the part as constant. By using the wireframe, you can delete it easily by using the edit mode. Go to the Z and the wireframe. By selecting on the views, you can observe 2, 3, 7 like this. When clicking on the vertices, select all of the edges on the other side by clicking on the X or delete key and give the vertices. Then half of the part is deleted and go into the object mode and select the solid. Half of the part is deleted. Then after I want to create the array modifier, that is called as mirror modifier, and go into the mirror option. The mirror modifier is there, you can observe on the screen, and clicking on the Y option, it is mirror on the Y and off the X. Then it is applied successfully. Then after I want to go on to the create the windows for the low poly. Then after I want to go on to the edit mode again and select the faces. By selecting on the face, by clicking on the insert eye, you can give this, and all of the edges are not coming exactly by this. By pressing on the select the object mode, Ctrl A, select the cube by using the Ctrl A, scale this and go into the edit mode again, select the face and the eye. You can see all of the edges are somewhat clear. That is, give the edges. See, the edges is created. like this. And then after I want to create another loop here by using the Control R and give the loop by using the escape. This I want to go into the individual origins. For this I will show you, and go into the again the face I, insert the distance by clicking on the same on the face by using the face, select the face by Shift R to make this, and select the face and the Shift R. Like this you can create the window. The Windows portion is created successfully. Then after I want to extrude this by selecting the faces by using the Shift key. Select all of the faces and extrude these two. You can see by toggle this option individual origins, you can see on the mirror also it is possible by extruding these. I'm extruding the sum of the distance to the inside. See, all of the sides is created, extruded is there. Again I want to remove the faces here for to keep it as a main window, and I want to go into the select the face and select this face by pressing on the Shift key, by pressing on the X, and by delete the faces after selecting the by using the Shift, and go on to the edges, Shift, select the edges, Shift key, select the edges, proper edges, and select the third edge and give the G and the X or Y. You can observe by toggle the clipping option, it is possible by using the X, G, X, Y. Like this you can observe. I'm selecting this the edge. After selecting the edge by toggle the clipping and G and the X key, Y. See, it is created only one. By go into the object mode, you can observe it is the main window. After give same for this also by selecting onto the edit mode and selecting the faces. Select the face by using the Shift key, select the face 1, face 2, pressing on the X, and the faces, remove the faces by pressing on the edge, select the edges 1, by pressing on the Shift key 2 and Shift key 3 by G and Y. Then after I'm selecting the edge by using the G and the Y. See, and go into the object mode, it is as a 1. By like this you can create the windows. Then after I want to create the, and next save the file in Blender, but it will collapse sometime. Then after I want to create the here wireframe mesh and create the lights here. I want to create this by selecting the edit mode. You can see by selecting the object, I'm selecting the object and go into the edit mode and give the Control R to create the loop cut. For this, first pressing on the X. Here also I want to create the loop. Here the loop is not possible. Why? We are in the individual origins. For to separate this, select the face on the edit mode by pressing on the P and the selection. See, in the individual origin the mirror also created the same. On after that, go into the object mode again and go into the face and select the option and go into the edit mode. See, the two difference is created on the other side also by clicking on the face key and give the subdivide by pressing on the right key option and give the this as 3 or 5. For example, I'm giving the 5 and give the array modifier and get the add modifier and go into the wireframe mesh and go into the object mode. See, on the two sides the wire mesh is created successfully, and go into the material preview. We can observe the this because the lights and the camera is off, then only it is looking. And again press the save file, and after I want to create the front lights and the back lights. For do this and clicking on the save option again. Then after select the any of the face. For example, I'm creating the back. Select the object mode and go into the edit mode. You can observe, select the any of the edge by pressing on the edge key. After pressing on the edge option, create the go into the object mode. We can see by going to the edit mode, this edge here it is not selected because here it is mirrored, and select the edge by pressing on the shift S key. You can observe the different types of cursors here, and cursor to selected by toggle the two option. The cursor is located here onto the edge at the center. After go into the edit mode to switch to object mode by pressing on the shift A, give one of the cube and give the scale to somewhat small like this. Then after by pressing on the 3 or 2 options, and I want to go into the Z and go into the wireframe mode or on the solid mode. I will show you. For to create this, you can adjust by pressing on the, you can see by pressing on the G it is moving on the Z. By using the control or X or Z key, it is moved to the position onto this. By pressing on the toggle mode 3 and select the this, pressing on the G and the Z by control key, it is relocated at to the point, you can see. And after I want to move this somewhat by pressing on the Z and the wireframe, pressing on the 3, pressing on the 7 and select the G option and the X key. By pressing on the wireframe mode, you can observe the all of the lines and the vertices to move it easily. Don't go with the solid by moving. Every time you can move you should move the objects by pressing on the wireframe. It is good. And again go into the solid by pressing on the Z. You can observe I want to decrease the size by pressing on the X and the Y axis. By using the Z X, I want to decrease like this using the X, the Y S scale, Y or X. You can decrease this to somewhat. Again I want to go into the Z and the wireframe mode and select the 7 key, and you can see the space is there. Pressing on the G and the X key by using the control, it is toggle here, and go into the object mode and go into the solid again, go into the edit. You can see I want to move this to the somewhat height by using the Y or X, like this. You can see I want to select the face by pressing on the I, insert this like this somewhat distance, and again extrude to inside, like this. You can create it by selecting on the object mode. You can also scale this to Y or X or Y. I'm increasing to Y somewhat distance like this. Then after I'm going to the edit mode. You can see on the object mode it is selected, and go into the edit mode and go into the Z and the wireframe and select the object by using the shift D to duplicate this, and go into the Y direction here. By using the control key you can adjust the same size on bottom and Z. Go into the solid. See the two lights is created. You can also create by using the mirror also, it is possible. Then after I want to create the circular cylinder blocks here onto the top. For to do this, again same process, go into the object mode, again I will explain, and go into the edit object mode, select the any of the edge, what is the object, and go into the edit mode and select the edge. You can observe by pressing on the edge it is selected, and go into the object mode again, give the shift A, give the mesh to cube, select the edit mode, give the edge, go into the shift S and cursor to selected. The cursor is highlighted here, and go to the object mode again and shift A, give the mesh. Here I want to give the cylinder and scale the cylinder to somewhat small. You can see it is small. You want to rotate this by pressing on the R. You can rotate this on the X direction or Y direction. I will show you. First go into the viewport. For example, I am creating a view here by pressing on the R and the Z key on the X, where you want to rotate like this. After pressing on the Z, give the axis XYZ to this. By pressing on the control, it will toggle at to the center. You can observe like this. You can also go into the wireframe, and I want to decrease this scale on the Y axis, X axis somewhat small, and I want to go G and the X Z option to somewhat onto the top, to press G and the X key onto the top of that, and I want to give the insert by going to the edit mode again, select the face and give the eye option, and give the extrude to inside like this. Again I want to go on other also by pressing on the object mode, edit mode again, pressing 3 and select the object and selecting the shift D, X key, Y direction, use the control, same distance will observe. You can see it is not successfully, object is not selected, total object is not selected here. On the shift D by pressing on the X, Y by using the control, place this. Now it is selected exactly to this. Then after the backlight is created, the front light to create the light and the mesh is created. Then after I want to create the tides onto the bottom to complete this. Then after I want to create the tides and select the edge by selecting on the object mode and go into the edit mode, select the edge by selecting the edge here by using the shift S to center cursor to select it. It is centered. You can observe here you can create the cylinder by going to the object mode, shift A and go into the cylinder and the S key. Somewhat distance, hence again rotate this by pressing on the can observe I'm rotating this on the X direction and give the rotation and give the scale to Y option, somewhat decrease this like this. Can also increase the scale somewhat more. Okay, this is okay, the tire is okay. And after I want to create the insertion by pressing on the edit mode, select the face and give the eye somewhat like this. Again I want to extrude these two somewhat inside and Control B for to bevel this. Can observe. Again I want to insert I and E extrude to somewhat inside. See, the meat is created successfully and I want to move this on the right position by pressing on the object mode and select the object, shift D and the X direction by pressing on the control key. It is there here. And after I want to create on the other side also, for giving on the object and select the add modifier, give the mirror and select the Y direction on the edit mode. Or you can go into the object mode and select the object can see mirror object, select the card body, select the object here and select the object here and give the add modifier and give the mirror to this. I'm again explaining. Go into the Y and off the X option and give the mirror object to the card body. Then it is created successfully. And you can, the cylinder 1 and the cylinder 3 both are in the Y directions. It is repeatedly give, you can, it is continuously takes X axis, you can give the Y axis to this and go into the wireframe and you can see on the render preview by pressing the on the light and the camera both, you can observe the shading part of the shadows here. Now and go on to the material preview and go into the solid. You can also toggle the X-ray. You can observe the inside and outside parts, how we created exactly to the low poly. And after it is created successfully, you can observe on the screen. And after I give the materials to some of the colors, not complicated, right? Then after go on to the edit mode and select. You can observe the loop is here by pressing on the edge. I'm selecting the edge, the shift S cursor to selected, and give the plane here by going to the object mode, shift A, give the plane. You can see the plane by pressing on the S. You can also move the plane by pressing on the G, X to the center, and give the plane to somewhat bottom to this using the Z and the wireframe mode. And select the 3 by selecting the plane and give exactly 2 by pressing on the G and the X key, the Y position to this to the center, and the G and Z key press by using the control. This toggle add to the bottom and go into the object mode by pressing on the select and the solid option. See, it is on the exactly onto the bottom. The tiles are not onto the inside to the plane. You can observe. Then after I want to create the hide this again, it is disturbing, and select this and hide the light camera, and again give the plane by using the edit mode, control R, give the loop cut because on the left key it is there. Again select the loop and give the control B to bevel this somewhat distance, and give the face and extrude this somewhat. And select all of the object and give the Z and the wireframe, pressing on the G onto the X and go into the Z and the solid model. And you can decrease this by going to the edit mode, select the face and select this face and extrude to somewhat by using the control to adjust this somewhat like this, and give the E and the extrude somewhat same to the distance by using the control option to do this, and see it is created successfully. And go into the solid or shading, it is off, we will create later. Now after onto the save to create these two. You can also adjust and you can also bevel this. I want to bevel this position by pressing on the shift and control B. You can bevel this for some distance like this, and you can observe it is look like a pathway, and you can observe this is the bottom of the plane is created successfully. Then after I want to give the colors to this of the all of the objects. Then after I want to create the, for example, I am creating the object mode here, and select these. You can observe by using the material and I want to give to this to the black. For example, I'm going to the edit mode and select these face only, for example, and go into the material preview, and you can see I want to create the new and give the road color is black. Already you know, and you can assign is this material to this. For example, I'm going to this mode and off the camera, on the camera, on the light, you can observe all the material, all the object will go into the black. For this, how to fix this? Using the Ctrl Z, I'm clicking and it is not selected like this, and go into the object mode by pressing on the face, clicking on the edit mode and select the object by selecting the edit mode and select the face and picking on the P and the selection P and separate the object. After separating the object is completely separated, and go into the edit mode and select it is separated, and select the face and give the new material and give the same what I done before, black, and give the material principal BS, don't change this anything more, and give the preview. You can see the preview and give the and go into the rendered view, and on the camera and the light you can observe it is on the bottom, it is looking nice. Like this you can create the road, and after you can create the different color to this. For example, I want to create the edit mode again by pressing on the save option and select the face and select these face also by selecting the faces by pressing on the shift key, and select the P and the selection P and select the new material and give the base color to somewhat. You can observe it is doing, and go on to the first you should create by go on to the edit mode. Like this you can create I'm selecting the face separation object mode and select the separated faces. Then after give the material and give the color to this. Somewhat green. You can observe it is looking nice. Like this you can create. You can give the different material like black. But to off the plane you can off this. You can see it will look good. For this I'm on by using the Ctrl S, file, save it, and then after I want to create the separation of the car also for to give the different colors. Then after I want to create the strips here by pressing on the 7 key and go into the solid option again and select the plane by using the Ctrl R for to loop by going to the edit and the Ctrl R for to loop this with left key on this selection of the edge. I want to create the edge cursor to selected, and I want to create one of the plane. To the bottom you can see I want to create a plane and go into the object mode and the shift A and give the plane. You can see the plane is created. I want to move the plane here and I want to extrude this plane by going to the edit mode and select the face and extrude the sum of the distance to strip this, and give the scale Y like this, and you can give the G option. Pressing on the X on the Y key, you can adjust onto the inside by pressing on the 3. So you want to decrease these two inside, and go into the object mode and select the object, give the 3, and give the Z and the wireframe mode and the G key, and the X direction or the Y direction, or on the Z you can somewhat decreasing. After decreasing, you can observe Z and go into the solid option, and you can see it is on the more thickness is not there. And after that I want to create the color. Go into the edit mode and go into the shading part. You can see I want to give the material, new material, and give the base color to somewhat white, and somewhat white, and you can see it is white. Assign and give the base color to white, and go into the shading view. You can observe and I want to pressing on the Shift D by duplicating, and again Shift D by duplicating, and again Shift D by duplicating the objects like this. And I want to move this object G, the X by using the control, and adjust this, and G by using the control X direction. You can adjust by using the G and the control X. You can adjust again. I want to give the Shift D again, G again. I want to decrease this size. I want to decrease the size by using the 3, selecting the edit mode and go into the vertices and give the X, give the G and the X direction to normal to the plane. Like this you can create the strips also by using the object mode here. You can observe like this. This is the creation, the white color. You can observe the white color. It is assigned to this. On the shading, it be in on the back. The shadow is there, then only the color is changed. Like this, you can adjust the colors. Save. Then after I want to create this by going to the material preview. You can observe the rendering. Selecting and go into the edit mode. You can observe the faces. I want to separate the faces by selecting on the faces option using the shift key, and select all of the faces by pressing on the P and the selection. All are separated, and go into the object mode again. You can see after selecting the faces all are separated. After separating the faces, then after I want to give the material to this, and give the material, new material, and give the surface to glossy BSDF, and give the color to somewhat darker blue, and give the roughness to 0.5, somewhat like this, or 0.53, and you can observe the glossy. You can give the glossy finish like this. You can also give the color somewhat decreasing like this. The glossy finish is there. After creating the light, you can observe, and after on to the body I want to create, again give the material, new material, and give the base color to this somewhat blue. You can adjust this selecting the colors, and I want to give the darker and lightish, darker and lightish blue color, and you can observe the glossy finish with the car is created. And after I want to give the color to this by selecting the material new, and give the base color to the black, somewhat light and black, and select again, give the same material to this, and the material of the tights is created. And then after you can see all of the body of all of the colors is created successfully, and give the save option here. Then after I want to create the sunlight and the camera position by pressing the 0 key. This is the camera. To view this, you can observe already it is on the exact position. I want to give the light here. For example, I'm deleting the light, and I want to give the keep it as constant light. Then after I want to create the delete this, and I want to create a sunlight by going to the object mode, shift A, give the light, and give the sun, and you can observe the sun is created onto the bottom, onto the X direction, onto the Y, onto the Z, onto the height, and you can see I want to move this by pressing on the Z and the X directions, on the Y directions, and again I want to give the G and somewhat here on the X direction, and give the point light here, and you can also give the light, keep it as light constant what is the before. Again I'm creating the shift here, again go into the sun and give the G option, give the X or the Y, Z key onto the top, and give the G. I want to give the Y, X, Y, and give the X option here, G, X, and give the view like this. For to give the shadow, give the shadow you want, apply here. This is the view you can observe on the screen. Here also I want to move this light G, you can see the shadow part onto the bottom by creating the lights and the sunlight. This is the light and this is the sun. You can adjust by using the shadows. Here also some of the is somewhat black. Here I want to create the one of the light here, and sun, shift D and select the sun anywhere. Then after I want to adjust this by clicking on the G on the X somewhat distance and give the point light here for to avoid the shadow. Here also you can view the back view here like this, you can see, and go into the file and go into the save option. See, the shadow is looking very good, the glossy finish with the pinkish. You can also give the color to somewhat darker to pink and give to somewhat glossy to black. You can see the shadow, see the shadow part, and the glossy finish is good, and the tights is also you can see like this. You can see the view of the car, and then after I want to create the lights onto the bottom, onto the back lights and the front lights. How to create by using the lights, I will show you. Then after create the point lights and the emission light here, and I want to create the object mode and edit mode. Select the face by selecting the face by using the shift S and cursor to selected, and say the cursor is at the center for to create the light, and give the object mode and give the shift A and give the light source to point is adjusted. You can see, you can scale this somewhat and give the radius to decrease the radius on center to this, to decrease the radius on inside, and give the power and give the color to somewhat yellowish, and you can see the yellowish, and you can give the more power to this. I'm giving the 18, nearly 86. You can see, you can give the color somewhat more by increasing or decreasing the light source. I'm giving somewhat yellowish color. You can see it is blinking, and I want to give the light source shift D by pressing the save option again. After the point lights, you can give the specular, and you can give the radius somewhat increase, the radius to 0.29, and give the shadow. If you want the shadow, you can give the shadow. Turn on what I want the shadow option. Then after go on to the point light is created, and after give the point and give the shift D and select the X or Y and center to this, give by using the control. Here also you can create the point light. You can see it is looking good. By toggle this, go into the Eevee, you can see, and go into the cycles. You can observe like this the save option. You can see on the cycles it is look like this. See, the point light is on the bottom of the road. Go into the Eevee again and give the save option, and after that I want to give the emission light for to this by selecting the objects, two objects at the same time, and give the material and give the new material and give the principal BSD to emission. See, it is emitted. I want to change the color to somewhat yellowish, what I given to that, and give the file save option or to darker yellow. After emission, don't change anything here, and for to emit, and go into the Eevee rendered and go into the ambient occlusion and the bloom effect, and give the screen space reflections here. It is reflecting, you can observe, and give the shadow part to 2048px or as your wish, and the high by depth, you can give the high by depth. I am not giving the high by depth, and you can observe it is somewhat emission. You can increase the emission rate by using the strength. You can observe by increasing the strength, it is emitted. You can observe it is emitting. Can increase the more emission light, it is emitted more. Like this, I'm giving to 80, 60, like this, increase to somewhat decrease. How much you want, you can emit like this. This is the R. Can also increase the emission light here. You can see here also you can give the emission light by pressing on the light option. You can see the 0.1 and the 0.2. You can increase the point lights also here, and the emission also is more. You can see finally the low poly chord is created. The road you can observe. For to remove all of the planes, you can see like this. This is the object what we created in the Blender. See, it is looking good. You can also animate these rotations by seeing some of the tutorials I have on my YouTube channel. You can observe the road is looking good. The light emission is creating onto the bottom. Like this you can create by pressing on the N. You want to tool the main screen to the full screen, Control Alt space bar. You can see here. You can also rotate by using the Control Alt space bar. It will look like this. It depends upon the sun lights and the light sources. The object will looks nice. You can see this is one of the basic tutorials for the beginners, and achieve all of the tools in Blender by practicing this tutorial. Then after, this is the Eevee. You can render this. You can also render onto the cycles. I will show you. First, tool this, and you can observe that the camera, pressing on the camera shortcut is 0. You can adjust by using the G here by selecting the camera. Pressing on the G, it will adjust to what is the direction you want. I want to increase the size of the camera. How I will show you. And the camera position is this, and select this and give the scale option by using the Y direction or X direction, Z direction. You can increase the camera size by using the S. The camera view of the camera is increased. You can observe by clicking on the 0, and you can also by pressing on the G key. You can view this like this and give the G, give the 0 option. and you can observe and give the camera view and give the 0 to adjust this by using the camera viewport. You can see you want to render this object by pressing on the Eevee, go into the cycles and can go into the viewport render image. It will, and go into the Eevee. You want the Eevee rendered, go into the Eevee and the viewport. Low poly will create more in Eevee render. It is looking good. You can observe on the Eevee rendering. This is the one of the basic tool for the Eevee render, how to render the Eevee. And you can also go into the cycles, how it looks. It is rendering, it will take time. This is the Eevee render. Same, go into the view and the view rendered image. And go into the Eevee. Eevee is looking good, and go into the viewport render image. This is the camera. You can also save the file. Go into the image, the Control S, you can also increase the width or height of this. Like this you can create the images to this on the Eevee rendered.